the Suzuki Vitara. We like this car because it's fairly fun to drive, it's pretty nice off-road, mild off-road of course, because it has all-wheel drive, and it is quite capable. We took it through mud, through everything, and I even have a pointer now because we're here in the nature where this car really belongs, because, well, it is quite suitable to get to your little weekend house, for example, up in the hills where we are now. But we never had this car in this combination with the 1.4 liter turbo engine with an automatic transmission, all-wheel drive, and of course, with most of the Suzuki's models, if not all of them now, this is a mild hybrid.
Vitara is a car that offers a lot for a reasonable price. LED lights, pleather on the seats, infotainment screen, automatic transmission, glass roof, radar cruise control, and a very capable all-wheel drive. And Japanese quality, which means you will most likely spend less time at repair shops. The rear lights are a combination LED and regular bulbs. The trunk is large enough to take all of our equipment, store your shopping bags, or luggage for trips. While a lot of people are buying so-called mall crawlers, which they then never take off-road, we've tested the Suzukis, and especially the Vitara, on various off-road locations, in the forests as well as actual courses. And we know this little thing is pretty darn capable.
So, a combination of an automatic, all-wheel drive, and of course the mild hybrid technology. So perfect for today because, well, the mild hybrid because we have to save the environment and save on fuel. The all-wheel drive if you want to go into places like these, even though technically, let's be honest, you don't usually need all-wheel drive at all to go to places. And the automatic transmission, which, well, with today's traffic, is getting more and more important, I think, to not get completely stressed out, because your left foot is going to fall off due to depressing the clutch all the time. Anyway, so, we're going to find out how this drives and how it is. Now, bear in mind that I've already tested Suzuki's with automatics, I've already tested Suzuki's with all-wheel drive systems. Come to think of it, there's so many Suzuki models with all-wheel drive that I don't know if I've driven many without it. So I'm not going to go on and on about how everything feels and what the car is like inside, because, well, if you want to see that, check out one of our other Vitara videos. I quite like the Vitara. I think it's a pretty sensible little off-roader, mild off-roader of course, but it's pretty capable. I mean, every Suzuki's all-wheel drive system seems to be very capable. I've done some mild off-roading where you definitely wouldn't get there with a two-wheel drive car, even with the Ignis. And the Ignis, the tiny little thing, clawed its way up a very muddy hill. So I was quite impressed with that. And let's not forget the Suzuki Jimny, but of course that is a proper tiny little off-roader because it has a reduction gearbox, 4x4, switchable 4x4, and so on and so forth. But anyway, we're talking about this combination. So the first things first, obviously, an automatic transmission is going to be very practical. You just put it in drive and you drive, that's it. You've just got two pedals, gas and brakes. And I mean, you know, it's very relaxing. You don't have to think about the gears, the clutch, anything like that. And I know for pretty much every driver, when they drive a manual transmission car, that's pretty much second nature. But still, you know, sometimes it can get a little bit annoying. Just like I said, with, for example, in traffic jams, where having a clutch and a manual car can get very annoying. Like I've said, I really like the Vitara as is, but with an automatic transmission, it's even nicer, I would say, and the mild hybrid system means that you use less fuel. There is a caveat to all of this. While it is nice and practical, it is a tiny little bit unrefined. Both of these systems, the automatic transmission and the mild hybrid system. Now, I've already talked about the mild hybrid system in one of the previous videos, and the problem with the mild hybrid system is the regeneration, the recuperation of energy, which means that when you're not on the gas, the recuperation system will turn on, which means that the phase of the electric motor will be switched and it will act as a brake, producing energy, and it will actually charge the small battery that it uses. But of course, with this system, usually with an electric car, for example, it's all analog, but here it's digital, which means the system either does not recuperate or it does recuperate. It's either on or off, and because the motor is about 8 kilowatts, you do feel it. So when you let off the gas and a little light up there, a little icon comes on saying, oh, you're recuperating, it can be a little bit jarring because it suddenly comes on and you're like, okay, that's fine. But the problem is, that's not the problem. The braking is fine. The problem is when you're trying to go a very specific speed without actually using the cruise control or the limiter. You're just trying to feather the throttle there, just ticking over. And because you're basically on the cusp of having no throttle or just a little bit of throttle, the regeneration system keeps coming on and off and on and off. And then you're like driving like it's your first time driving a manual car. So it's a little bit annoying in that respect. And the second part of the refinement is the actual transmission. It's fine most of the time, and I'd be completely happy with it, but sometimes it can be a little bit jerky when suddenly shifting up, for example, or when shifting down if you're in a hurry, or especially off the line. When you're at a standstill and you want to get going, it can be a little bit jerky, but you know, I'm nitpicking. Because of this mild hybrid technology, you're expecting better fuel consumption. Now this car has a 1.4 liter turbo gas engine and that little tiny electric motor with around 8 kilowatts of power. I believe the gas engine has around 93 kilowatts, something like that, which is around 120-ish horsepower. I'll probably put the text on there. Anyway, right now the average fuel consumption is 6.3 liters per 100 kilometers indicated on the trip computer. Now I did get that lower. I believe I got it to around 5.9, which, to be completely honest, for a regular automatic transmission, old school automatic transmission and constant all-wheel drive, I would say that's fairly good. I was even quite surprised because I had it on the highway at around 130 kilometers per hour and the fuel consumption was hovering around 6.1, which really surprised me. I was expecting it to climb a lot. And you have to remember that, of course, you know, 130 kilometers per hour and air conditioning now in the summer and all of that. But yeah, that was pretty good. But I think what the best thing about this combination of all-wheel drive and the automatic transmission is places like these, where this car is really meant to be, because the suspension is coping very well with all the bumps and holes in this gravel road. And I also tried it a little bit sort of off-roading on a very steep hill. I'll show you that, where I was going up. Like I said, it was a steep hill and lots of big rocks and such, and the automatic transmission did a pretty good job. It had no problems at all getting up there. There was no warnings like, oh no, I'm overheating the clutch or something like that. No. And of course you also have the hill descent control system, just in case you encounter something where you have to descend for long periods of time, and you don't want to go off that line pressing the brakes yourself, because of course that system then brakes on each individual wheel separately, and keeping you straight. The only problem is it only gives you the option of, I believe, 10 kilometers per hour speed, which can be quite fast when you're going down narrow roads. Let's do some off-roading, yeah. It's just gravel. But I do have to say, if you ever get your hands on a little Suzuki like this, go and try a bit of mild off-roading. I'm not telling you to go drive into a crazy swamp and mud where you might get completely stuck, but just try a little bit of legal off-roading, because you don't want to destroy nature, but somewhere where it's legal, or it's like a forest path or something that's quite difficult, try it. You'll be really surprised by what these little Suzukis can do. I have to say that ever since I took them mild off-roading, these cars from theirs, I'm properly impressed with all of them. With the Ignis, with the Vitara, with the S-Cross. Even the little Swift, which had the all-wheel drive option, was surprisingly excellent on snowy roads and muddy roads. It was actually, shockingly good. So, I just like these Suzukis. They're not complicated. They're fairly simple cars. They do have, stuff like LEDs and infotainment screens and so on and so forth. But they don't have the latest and the greatest technology, but they're sensible and very likable, with a lot of character, I feel.
The basic mild hybrid Vitara can be yours for 18,000 euros, while the most equipped model with all-wheel drive and automatic transmission will cost you 25,000 euros.